Hello there, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sam, and I moderate these weekly webinars. In just a second, we're going to be joined by Michael Corgett, one of our financial advisors, and he's going to be giving you some tips on how to deal with severance packages and layoffs. Layoffs are a big thing right now, unfortunately, all over the country, and he's going to be providing you with some strategies that you can use to tackle those severance packages. And after his presentation, I'll jump back on with him. We'll answer a couple questions. I apologize in advance. We don't always have the time to answer every single question. What we do not answer live with you on today's presentation, I will make sure another financial advisor gets back to you either through phone or through email to answer directly with you after this presentation has ended. And as a quick reminder, we are not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by any specific company. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors here, so please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. And lastly, throughout the presentation, you are going to see some links popping up on your screen. Please feel free to click on those. These are all complimentary resources we have available for you. We would love for you to take advantage, one of which is a link to our YouTube where you can follow us for much more content. And another is simply a calendar link where you can get on one of our financial advisors' calendars and speak to them and get started on your retirement journey. So take advantage of those. And without further ado, let's jump right into it with Michael Corgett.
Hi, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I know I appreciate it very much. Today we're going to talk about a subject that it can really be depressing because when you're talking about a severance package, you're more than likely being laid off from your employer prior to when you want to leave on your own accord. So we're going to talk about understanding some of your rights and your various options, making sure you're financially and professionally prepared to move on, especially if you're not ready to retire. Moving forward with your job search, just some ideas there, and then just some thoughts that I want to share with you and how we here at the Retirement Group can help you through this process. So let's go ahead and get started. Understanding your rights and your options. We'll talk a little bit about the overview on severance packages, which are very, very different from employer to employer, legal guidance and advice, and unemployment benefits, and then talking about what your health insurance coverages and options will be after you've been surplused or laid off. And is there something in there, the severance package, that will help you in that regards? Overview of severance packages. There's a lot of key considerations to think about. Every employer is going to be different. And before you sign this severance package, you want to make sure that it doesn't limit your ability to find another job. Some employers will put language in a severance contract that might not allow you to go to work for a similar type firm like the one you're being laid off from within let's say, 100-mile radius. Well, listen, if you've got a very special background, especially a technical background, limiting that option could be, again, very limiting. So you're definitely going to want to consider possibly talking to an attorney if something like that is included. A severance package is just that you are severing from that company, but there are things that company may do to limit your ability to do other things, including finding work. So there's pros and cons to a severance package. I mean, obviously, the severance itself, 6 months pay, possibly a year's pay. Some companies will base your severance on the number of years that you worked and multiply it by a week or two to get a total number of weeks. Some severance packages, most are payable in a lump sum, but some of them can be also paid out like your regular paycheck over that same period of time that the package was supposed to be based on, i.e. 6 months or a year. By the way, that's one thing that has changed a great deal over the years, the number of months that employers are going to pay you severance. Some examples would be AT&T and Caterpillar and Boeing. At AT&T, they used to give certain levels of management a year severance, and then levels of management above that 2-year severance. That was cut in half And then everyone now just gets 6 months severance, which that could change any moment now. Okay, so companies are just trying to get away from the big severance packages over that they've given out over time. Um, Legal advice, I mentioned that if warranted, you may want to seek professional guidance. I personally know several attorneys. A couple of them I'm very close to. I've certainly recommended them to people in the past that I've worked with or may work with that I just met. It does not hurt to have an attorney take a look at this agreement. It might cost you a couple $100, but that attorney knows what they're doing and they know what they're looking for, and they could basically weed out the chaff and give it to you the nuts and bolts of what this agreement will allow you and won't allow you to do. And then, secondly, unemployment benefits. Almost every state in the country will allow you to collect unemployment benefits for a period of time, even if you're paid a severance package. I say most states, not all states. And all states are different as to the weekly benefit that you would receive in unemployment. I live in Missouri, here in the Midwest. Missouri is a fairly conservative state. I believe the maximum weekly benefit is $350 a week. But I talk to people in states like New Jersey and California, where the weekly benefit might be $600 or $700 a week as far as their unemployment benefits. So it does vary from state to state, and states are all different. But I've done this so long in my career that it typically you will have the option to collect unemployment benefits. You're going to want to apply for it almost immediately after being laid off, and you still will be able to collect your severance benefits, whether they're being paid in the form of a lump sum or on a weekly basis or biweekly basis. Let's talk about insurance and health coverage. A lot of changes. This is a big change, and there are considerations because healthcare is important to all of us. You may still be covering your wife and all three of your children. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Okay. So, in most severance packages, your employer will typically subsidize your healthcare costs during the life of that severance agreement. In other words, if you were going to get 6 months severance, they'll more than likely subsidize your health care for that 6 months, even though you may get your severance dollars in one lump sum. That subsidy will essentially be you're going to continue to pay the premiums that you were paying while you were working. And then after that, you will be eligible for COBRA. Now, COBRA is you're now going to pay 100% of the employer's group costs for healthcare, and that can be significant. I mean, very significant. For a husband and wife, it could average anywhere from $700 to $1,200 or $1,300 a month. If it's you and your spouse and your children, I mean, we're talking more, potentially $1,500 to $2,000 a month. That's a house payment for a lot of folks. Very significant. There are other options that you may want to consider. One of those is the healthcare exchange, what is known as Obamacare. Go to healthcare.gov. You can set up a profile there as well and then run different options. They use the metal tiers, the gold, silver, and bronze tiers. So, the lower tier, the lower metal tier, typically going to have higher deductibles. But there is a very good chance now that you can get a subsidy on one of the exchanges, and you won't pay a federal subsidy, by the way, and you will only pay a portion of that monthly premium. You're going to be making less money, especially if you're going to be out of work for a period of time or you're considering retirement and your options for healthcare are limited as well. So, this is another thing to consider. I do point a lot of folks to the healthcare exchange because it can be a great option. Financial and preparedness, professional preparedness, preparing for your job search, that's important. Securing all your professional and financial assets. Obviously, you've got retirement benefits, 401k benefits. There may be other benefits that you had through your employer. You've got a lot of personal items. If you've been in an office for 10 or 15 or 20 years, you want to make sure you get all of that, all your personal documents off of your work computer as well. A lot of folks do use their work computers to keep a lot of their own personal information because that's really the only computer that they use. You may, I mentioned pension and 401k. You might have some stock options that you want to consider. What are your options there? And then financial planning and analysis. I'll talk a bit more about that here momentarily, but listen, more importantly, if you want to know where you stand financially, you should start now before this email that comes in your mailbox and says, okay, we're laying you off in 2 weeks. I can't tell you enough that the sooner that you begin to prepare for any event like this in your life, whether it's a surplus, a layoff, or your retirement, the sooner that you begin to prepare, the better off you're going to be. And I'll talk about doing a financial plan or analysis here in a minute. Preparing for your job search. LinkedIn, what a great resource. We use it a lot. I've met a lot of people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the professional network where you can go out and network with people and other companies and see what jobs are available. You're definitely going to want to make sure your resume is up to date. Hopefully your employer offered you the service that many do that will allow you to talk to some professionals that will get your resume updated and help give you tips, interviewing tips and the like. You're also going to obviously want to identify what job search criteria you're going to want to do. Okay. Again, if you're technically proficient, you've got a great technical background as an example, well, you don't want to go to work being a truck driver. It's not what you're good at. So you're going to want to clarify your search criteria to make sure you're focused on the companies and the jobs that make sense for you. I mentioned that already, securing your professional assets, safeguarding all your personal files, and managing your financial and health related accounts, HSAs, healthcare savings accounts, flexible spending accounts. You may have contributed to it during the year, and you're going to want to use those dollars in some cases that year. Some cases you could continue to defer those dollars. It just depends on what type of account that you've been working in. Retirement and equity considerations, options for your 401k and your pension plans. Okay. So hopefully you've got a 401k. It's got a nice balance in it. What do you do with it? And then your pension. If you're pension eligible, are you eligible to take your pension? Does it make sense to take it now? What are your options to take it? Is there a lump sum versus just an annuity only? These are things you're going to want to consider, even if you're going to go back to work. I work with many people who, let's just say, are in their early to mid 50s. They're pension eligible from their company, but they're not ready to stop. They want to go find something else to do. So there's discussions that we can have with both your 401k, especially if you're between certain ages. It may make sense to leave your 401k at your employer if you're over the age of 55 versus having to worry about the 59 and a half rule. In your pension plan, it depends on how you can take it. You could take it in a lump sum. Why not? Take it, roll it over into an IRA, let it continue to grow on your own terms in your own IRA account. And that's what we do here at the Retirement Group. We manage retirement assets for our clients. So that is something to consider. Earlier, I mentioned stock options. Many of you may have some stock options. They typically vest over a period of years. Well, if you're surplus, you will more than likely vest in all of those options immediately. And what do you do with them? Are they underwater or are they in the money? It all depends. If they're in the money, you may want to take advantage of them and exercise them all, but you have to be careful because you've had a regular paycheck. You've also got now a severance benefit, which is going to add to your taxable income, and you don't want to overload it anymore with exercising stock options in that same year. Hopefully, you'll have a period of time, a year or two, to exercise those stock options. I'd look forward to having that discussion with you as far as what to do and what makes the most sense, because None of us want to give Uncle Sam any more than they deserve. Mentioned building a retirement plan, okay? Build a cash flow analysis. We like to call it our retire kit to understand your financial situation. This is a service that we offer. It is complimentary. Our cash flow analysis is very comprehensive. It'll take a look at all the various aspects of your life. Obviously, your retirement, continuing working, your children's education, long-term care, disability, and life insurance, all these sorts of things. Take advantage of it. It's definitely something that I would be happy to do for you. And again, it's a complimentary service, and it will also talk to you and the importance of creating a financial safety net. A lump sum severance benefit, if you've got other savings set aside, you may just take the lump sum and live off of it. Hopefully, if you don't have any savings set aside, you get this lump sum benefit and you will set some of that money aside for emergencies. Anybody hates to live paycheck to paycheck. Having a little bit of a nest egg that you can get to easily, if something comes up, the refrigerator breaks, the car breaks down, you need new tires, whatever it might be. So keep all that in mind as well. And then moving forward with your job search, what are their health insurance options, post layoff, leveraging the technology for job searches? It is incredible. The websites and the the options out there, and artificial intelligence has made it even greater. Websites like Indeed, where you could post your resume and get invitations to job opportunities. And I'm just naming Indeed because that's the one I always think about. But there are a lot of resources out there. And again, I can't stress enough, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a super network to start with. Hopefully you're already on it. And if you're not, you should get on it and begin to network, even if this isn't even a concern. All right. Or even if you're thinking about retiring, you might as well keep your name out there, continue to cast your net. You never know when someone might need your expertise and they're willing to pay a lot of money over a short period of time to use that expertise with you. Okay. So, finally, I talked a little bit about Cobra and other health insurance options. Cobra is definitely an option for 18 months. I mentioned the healthcare exchange, which could be a more viable opportunity for your healthcare, and then just planning for various coverage gaps. Again, you've got coverage. You may have severance coverage that's been subsidized. Then you might go on Cobra for a little while, and then you might jump on the exchange. Just make sure there's no gap in your healthcare because it is extremely important. Leveraging the technology, utilizing job boards, alerts. I already talked about some of the AI tools that are available. Your unemployment bureaus, offices have a lot of free resources available to you. I mentioned resume companies and job employment agencies that might be able to help, fine tune your ability to do interviews, answer questions, so on and so forth. And just basically even how to fill out an application, because I understand that's all done electronically now. And some of the key points to take away, I've touched on a lot of things. There are things that you're going to want to worry about today, and that you're going to want to worry about in a week or two, or a month or two, or maybe 6 months or a year down the road. Hopefully, number one, all of you that are watching this will never have to worry about this, but chances are everyone, I think almost everyone I've ever spoken to, has had to worry about their job or their group or their department being let go or downsized, just because companies want to continue to do more with less of you. And have a plan. I can't stress that enough. Take advantage of this opportunity with our firm. We'd be happy to put together one of our comprehensive plans for you. And with that, why would you want to consider us? Well, myself and my colleagues have a great deal of experience working with companies like yours. We've got a great knowledge of your employee benefits, your healthcare options. We've got offices nationwide. I mentioned that I'm here in Missouri, but I have clients all over the country. We do have a wealth of knowledge on all of your benefits programs, and Again, that complimentary financial analysis, take advantage of it. You could scan this QR code here on the left and schedule a meeting with myself or one of my colleagues. Scan the one on the right and follow us on LinkedIn. We have a tremendous amount of resources on our LinkedIn page. Check it out, including our future webinar schedule. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and hand the meeting off back to Sam and see if we have any questions. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Hope this was helpful, and I look forward to maybe talking to some of you in the near future. Sam?
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, this is a tough topic to
Yes,
cover
it
because
is.
obviously no one wants to be laid off and have to deal with this, but it's good to know what to do when it happens, if it unfortunately happens to you. Alrighty, we're going to answer just a couple questions so we can keep it short. This first one, I'm being laid off in January and planning to take an early retirement. How can I make the best use of my severance package to bridge the gap until I can start drawing from Social Security or my other retirement accounts?
A great question. It sounded like this individual is going to be laid off in January,
Yes,
and he's going to get a severance benefit, but they're also going to retire. All
right.
right. Well, the important thing is, well, how much is a severance benefit going to be? Do you have any other income sources? If
Mhm.
you don't have any other income sources, well, you might as well take the severance and not worry about, you don't have to worry about your taxes. If you have a pension, you're going to want, and you're going to retire, are you going to want to start that pension immediately or defer it? And in some cases, it doesn't make any sense to defer it. Are you going to get a severance? You may get a severance. Do you want to turn on the pension? Do you want to start your Social Security yet or not? Every month that you wait, your Social Security benefit will grow just a little bit, depending on your age. It'll grow either 6% per year. Beyond your full retirement age, it's 8% per year. So there's a lot of variables with that question. I know it was a very specific question, but there are a lot of different things to consider, and I really would look forward to talking to this individual at some point.
Yeah, sounds like a great person to have an appointment with and
Yeah.
get down to the nitty gritty with them. Alrighty, last one, Michael. I'm 58. Given my age, what tax implications should I consider when accessing my retirement funds earlier than I planned?
Another great question. They're 58 years old, so they're not 59 and a half, which so many people believe is the quote magic age
Hmm.
to take money out of their retirement plans, which is traditionally their IRA. All right. So I mentioned a lot of folks have both a pension and they have a 401k. A monthly pension benefit could start at any time. So this individual could start their monthly pension benefit at 58, and it's just subject to federal and state income taxes if it's subject to state income taxes in the state you live in. Almost all pensions are subject to federal income taxes. So no worries there. If they need additional income in addition to their monthly pension, they can access their 401k. It's called post 55 tax treatment. And if you're 55 or older, and you leave a portion of or all of your 401k in the 401k, you can access it in pieces. You could start to take a monthly income from it. You have to do it systematically, and you may be limited the amount of times that you can access it in a given year. But bottom line, you can access your 401k benefits. It is again subject to federal and state income tax, but it will not be subject to the 10% federal excise penalty. That's post 55 tax treatment, and you're 55 or older, you leave your 401k behind, you can access it. IRAs, you still don't want to touch until you're 59 and a half.
Alrighty, thank you. We actually also have some really good presentations from the recent past on Post 55. So if that's something you're interested in, please head to our YouTube and search that up because we
Yeah.
have some content you might find, uh, intriguing. Alrighty, Michael, thank you so much for all of your knowledge today. We really appreciate your time, and thank you everyone for joining us. We hope to see you soon and make an appointment with Michael and get to speak to him directly about all of your concerns and get your questions answered. We thank you for joining us today. Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
everyone. Have a great
Bye.
day.